of the in-class assignment related to Swift, and that part is more related to creating user object-oriented and collections. All right, so okay, let me clear the log. All right, so basically let's have a look at what they want us to do. Here, create a user class that has a name, gender, name, age, and gender attributes. Okay, cool. So here is a class, call it user, and it has var name. Let me initialize them as empty, or maybe I can create, here is a name, var name as a string if I want. Here is a string. Age is an integer, and gender is, let's say the gender here is okay, is a string also. All right, good. All right, here we are. And then I need an initializer. Create a method that prints out the user object. Okay, good. So now it needs an initializer. Do init. Here is the initializer. Just automatically generated here. I have the initializer. Now it tells me in order to, I want to print it. So let's create a user and print it, and you'll see that why they are asking us to do that. Print, let's say, let user, let for example user1 equals user, and the name is, let's say, Bob. The age is, let's say, 20, and the gender is male. All right. Now when I click on, when I do print user1 and I run this, it prints this. Interesting. So now what's going on is that it prints the reference to that user or whatever. Now what I would like to do is to make it print. So we gave you a documentation here, which is, in order to print, you just need to create a method. Here it is. And it talks about the you need to implement some protocol. So if you look here, it talks about user print, follow that protocol. There is a protocol, and it's let's see, custom string convertible. That's the protocol that we'd like to implement. So here it is. So basically we go here and we say custom string convertible. Here it is, and that requires you to implement one variable which is called description. So var description, and it's a string variable, open bracket, close bracket. This is dynamically created, so return, let's say we return something like this, and I'm going to return user, open bracket, close bracket, name is whatever we have here as name, and then comma, age is whatever we have here, and then gender is whatever we have here. This is very similar to Java. Java we had to do toString, but this is how we do it here. Now the name is self.name, and self.age, and self.gender. All right. So now when I run the code again, so all what I did is that it's the custom string convertible. This is a protocol that we'd like to implement, and that protocol extends the, so basically here it is, it's an initializer, and it enables us to print out a string, right? So we print the description. Here it is. All right. So now when I run this now, you see that it's going to, because you indicated that it's custom string convertible, it's going to do something like this. You see here. Okay. So it's printing the name, the age, and gender. All right, good. So now let me move this stuff from here, put it here so that you show you this, and maybe remove some of these new lines. All right, let's run this again. Okay. So here it is. It's printing the user, and create a user example called Bob Smith, age 25, gender is male, state. Oh, there is a state also. Okay, good. So there is a state. So there is a var state, which is a string. All right. So we have a string state, and then I just need to update it to have a state. Okay, good. So now we do that, and then the state is, let's say, North Carolina. Alright, so print it again, and here we are. It's not printing. Oh yeah, I have to change it also here. So I'll copy that from here to here, and this is state. Okay, run this again, and now it has name, age, gender, and state. Okay, cool. Here it is. We have the user object, or the user class, and there is the user object that we are printing. Okay, good. Now we go back here. The next one is loop. So basically, you are provided with the user data in an array, and you see each line is a line that looks like this. The user has information formatted like this. Write a function that receives the user array and inputs and returns an array of user objects based on the parsed user data. So we need to parse the user data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that here in the initializer. I create another initializer, call it init, and I'm going to call it init, and I'm going to have a string which is called, for example, str a string. Okay, or call it line. Maybe that's a user line item, line, right? And it's going to look something like this, right? So I'm going to send it this line, right? And then I want to split it by the comma, right? Now, in order to do that, I have a string, so I'll do line dot split. Is there a split? Here it is. Perfect. So there is a split, and then there is a separator. And what does it return? It returns an array of something called substrings. Perfect. So now I'll do let items equals line dot split. The separator is a comma. Now they are comma separated. This gives me a list of items. So the first item should be this one, the second item should be this one, the third item is this one, and so on. So now I'll do a for each item in items. Alright. And now I would like the first item to no, I'll have to have a loop. So basically, because I need to catch them based on their index. This is index 0, and that's the name of the person, right? So basically what I'm going to do is so what I can do is, just to verify, I can do if, or I know it's going to be how many items? 1, 2, 3, 4 items. So I'm going to loop for I in 0 to 4. The 4 is not included, right? So basically it's going to be 0 all the way to 3, right? And now what I'm going to do is, if I don't even need any loops, basically I don't need a loop. I know that the first item is a string, which is going to be the name, so I could do self.name. I can copy that stuff from here. Self.name equals what? Equals items. So equals items of 0, right? That's the name of the person, right? Now it's not happy because it's a string and a substring, so we need to cast it. So I'll do string of that, and that takes care of this situation. It will take the substring and convert it into a string. Perfect. Now the age of the user is a number, so I want to change it into an integer. So can I do that? Self.age equals age equals int of age items of 0, of 1, right? Will it be happy to do that? Now let's see. No, it cannot. The value is optional. Yes, there is a problem here. So now what happens here is that we need to do something like this. The problem is that an integer, if the integer is not a valid integer, it will return nil, right? But our age is an integer. It's not optional, right? So what we could do is we could do this. If let number equals this one, so basically you are checking to see if it's not null, right? Then what we can do, and then else. All right, so this is equivalent to doing this, equivalent to doing let num equal to this, okay? And then checking to see if num is not null. So basically we can do something like this and check to see if num is not equal to nil. Right, we can do something else, we do something else. So basically if it's not equal to nil, else we do something else. So basically if it's not equal to nil, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do self.age equals to the number unwrapped, else self.age equal to some kind of default. So does it tell me what's the default? Does it say what the default is? The default age. So if it's an invalid age, set the default to 28. Perfect. So there is the 28. Here it is. All right. So took care of the name, the number, right? The gender is a string, very similar. So I'm going to copy that from here and put it here. So we took care of the name, the age, the gender, and the state. So this is the gender, state. This is the gender, state, and this is going to be 2, and this is going to be 3. Okay, so that's it. Give me a string that looks like this. I can use the initializer to do all of that stuff for me, and we're good to go. All right, so we are splitting it at the comma, getting the name, taking care of the number here because the number might be an invalid number, and we'll go from there. So basically, I am going to print out, just to give you an idea that this happened. So I'm going to print out here and say invalid number, right? Just so that you could just know that this happened, because you see here, if you look, any of the ages here is invalid. We will make one of them invalid just so we could test. Okay. All right. So now we want to create a function. So basically, write a function that receives the user array and inputs. Okay, good. So basically, there's a function, and we call it, for example, get users. Here it is. The parameter is an array, so basically it's going to receive users, and it's an array of user. All right. And what does it return? It return an array of strings. We call it data, and then it returns back an array of users. So it's going to be an array of user type. So it's an array of strings, right? So array of strings. Okay. So now, in order to do this, I need first of all, I need an array of users. So var users equals, it's a new array of user. All right, so here it is. It's an array of users, and then I have to loop over the data for each item in data, right? Or I can call it for each line. For each line in data, right? And then basically I need to create a user. Let user equals user, and pass it the line, right? And then users dot append user. This is how you add something to the array. And then basically we're going to return users. Okay, that's how we do it. We're going to use the initializer that we just created. We append the user that we create to the array list of users, or the array of users, and then we return. Cool. So now let's test. So how to test? I'll do print let users equal get users, and pass it the data, which is users data, right? And we run this and see. Okay, so here it is. It's an array of 11 elements. Here is the array, and you can see it has the users one, and it's parsing everything. Now let's make the first user have an invalid age. Let's do the invalid age means I'll just type TTTTT here. So this when you try to parse this, change this into an integer, it will fail and it will return back a nil. And now it's gonna set the age to 28. Okay. So now we test that by running it again. And you see here the age is 28 for that user. And we did print invalid number. Okay, cool. So now let me delete this. There is another user that has an invalid age, it seems, because it's, yeah, here is test. See, so I didn't need to change it. There is one that has the age test. You see here. So run this one again, and you see that there is one of them an invalid number, which is the one Woodman Brook. So if we go here, Woodman Brook is 28. Okay, cool. So this shows us that, right? So we don't need to observe this anymore. We have the users and we have this done. Cool. All right. So did we satisfy all the requirements? Print the array returned by the function to show that each user parsed. Cool. So we did parse the users. Good. Next one here, using the user array generated. Okay, so you have the users. Write a function that receives the list of users generated and a gender string, and returns the average age of the provided gender. Okay, cool. So now we're going to send you a gender. right? And then basically we want you to return back the average of the gender. Okay, good. So we'll do function get average by, and then average by. Okay, so basically average of. Okay, and then here it's going to be an array. We call it users, right? Users, and this is an array of users. So basically we go like this, user array. Okay, and then by, which is the gender, right? And then this is going to be a string. Okay, and then you return an average. So basically I'll return a double. Let's see, a double. Okay, cool. So here we are. Just wait a little bit. Does no problems. So we'll do var, and this is the sum of the ages, because we need to divide sum, and that is and a count. So we'll do sum equals, sum is a double, equal to 0, 0.0, and then var the count is also, I can do double instead of casting and so on, 0.0. So now here it is, and we know that the average is the sum divided by the count. So I'm going to return, but we have to check some things and so on, right? Okay. So in order to do this, you're going to pass me a gender, and I need to loop over these users. So I'm going to do for each user in users, right? And what I'm going to do is that if the user dot gender is equal to the by, right? We can call it by gender. Just okay, to make it easy here, it's equal to gender, or we could call it by that gender. Here it is. Okay, here it is. So if it's this, if it's equal to the gender, then we'll do sum equals sum plus user dot age, right? And then count equal count plus 1, right? So we have updated the sum and the count, and then here we do a small check to see if the count is greater than 0. We're going to do something, else we return 0, right? There is no need to divide by 0, and then here, otherwise we're going to return sum divided by count, right? Now the age is an integer, and you want to change it into a double. Did you do double? This is how you cast double, and you pass it the integer. All right, cool. So here we are, and it's straightforward, right? So basically, here it is, the average age of the provided gender. Okay, good. So now let's try to test. Print. Of course, I'm not doing an extreme test here, but anyhow, get average of. And then I'm going to give it users, right? The gender is, let's say, male, right? And we'll print one for female also. How do I know it's male or female? You see here it's male, female, right? Okay, so we run this again, and it gives you the averages. Yeah, of course, I'm not testing out here, but I can change, I can manipulate things here to make the age of the male and female be a specific number and test it out. But this is an overall working solution. All right. Let's get some spaces and some separators so that you could see what we are doing here. Let's put separator here. Okay. Perfect. So now, using the array of user generated in question 6b, write a function that receives the list of user generated and returns a dictionary containing the state as the key and the count of the users in the state. Okay, very good. So we need to return an array, a map. Okay, good. So now this is a way to count the states. So who are the users that live in different states? Okay, cool. So now in order to do this, let's write the function. Actually, I'm going to copy the function that we have here. I'm going to change things a little bit. So here it is, and here. Okay, and I'm not going to get the average, but I'm going to get, let's say, get state map, get state count map for users, right? So here it is. And then I'm going to return a hash map of string, which is the state, and then the number, which is an integer, right? So that's basically what I'm going to return. Let's create one, var map equals, and I am going to copy this. Here it is, and boom, right? And I'm going to return the map. Okay, good. So now what I would like to do is I'm going to loop over the users for each user in users. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, if the map contains the key, which is the state, I am going to increment the count. Otherwise, I'm going to create a new one, right? So I'm going to initialize it with 1. So how do I do that? Map.contains, see, and then you tell it what do you want it to contain, right? Or I can do map. You could do this if it has a record, if let record. Oh, I can do it like this. I could do, let's say, let record equals map of user dot state. So it's user dot state. So I have, now I could check to see if record is equal to nil. This means it doesn't exist, right? This means this user doesn't exist, or this state was never encountered before. Each user has a state. If the record is nil, then we create a new record. So we say map of state equals, we create a new record like this, equals 1, right? Otherwise, if it does exist, we'll do this equal to this plus 1, right? So then, but then it will ask us to unwrap, because what's happening is that this could be a, oh, actually we can do record. So basically we could do record here. But anyhow, that's what we're doing, right? So basically I can do record unwrap it with this, and then I can, and here we are. So now we can test out and try this. So let's say let stats equals get state map count, and then we give it users. There it is. And let's run this. And it's a dictionary of here it is. California has 4, Illinois has 2, New York has 1, and so on. Now we can test this by looking at here. We could see, for example, it says that Illinois has 2. Let's have a look. So Illinois is 1 and 2. North Carolina 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. North Carolina. So yeah, it seems to work. So that's what we're doing. So we can check to see if something exists in the map by just retrieving it and using the key and trying to see if it exists or not. All right, cool. So now using the array, sort the user data in ascending order by ages. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to sort it by ages. So now how do I do that? Let's say we do users.sort by, right? And you can also do sort comparator, right? Or sort by, and so on. So now let's have a look at what this link that they put for us. So basically I'm going to use the sort, but I want to get more information. So go here, click here and press enter. And then it shows you sorting. Okay, here is a user object, and then sort. And then you could give it some kind of condition. And it's an in-place sort, it seems, right? Or it returns it. Now this is an in-place sort. You can provide the property that you want to sort by. Okay, cool. So now let's have a look. And you see this one gives you 2 users, right? So basically I can do this, something like this. I pick that, and notice I'm going to press enter, and then you have user 1 and you have user 2, right? And basically you return the list. Okay, it's mutating. So basically this user's list is mutating. So you cannot use mutating member on mutating. So that's the sort method is a mutating member. It's going to change the array. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do var sorted users, okay, equals user. Okay, I can do something like that, and then I do sorted users dot append contents of user. Okay, so I'm just created a version that is mutable. All right, here it is. Okay, so now this one seems to, you just tell it what you want to sort by. So basically cannot of being type blah blah blah. So what I'm going to return is I'm going to say return and user1 dot, and you want to see that generated by question1 in ascending order by ages. Age is greater than user2 dot age. All right, so we can do something like that. Now we can print sorted users, and we run this here. And if we look at the users, that's the string. So now I need these sorted users. So if I go here and watch it, and you can see that they are sorted somehow, right? They are sorted, but they are sorted in what they wanted, ascending or descending order. We can change that. So let's see. They want to sort by what? In ascending order by age. Okay, cool. So now all I have to do to sort them by in ascending order by age is to flip the sign. So basically I can do something like this, and then run this again, and then we go here, see the array, and you see here it's in ascending order by age. Cool. Very straightforward. You can look in deeper detail about how to do the sorting, but this is here it is. It needs to be mutable. That's why I created the var, because this users object, if you look at the top, we have it at the top here. We did declare it as let. I can just make it var and life will be okay. Right? But if you want to change from mutable to immutable, I created a mutable version. You see var, it's an array of users, and then I just contents of the user just append it to here, just copying it, and then I did my sort. Okay, so we're done with this part. Okay, now this part, you are provided with two lists of words, namely list A and list B. Write a function that receives both lists as parameters and returns a set of words that overlap in both lists. Okay, cool. So now that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so here is a function. So it overlaps in both. So I return, okay, get overlap. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to return here, so I'm going to return anything for the time being. And then it has two lists of words. So you have a string, you have list 1, which is a string array. And you have list 2, which is also a string array. Alright, cool. So now these are the two lists. Now what I will do is I will take the first list, put it in a set. Okay, so now if you go back to the control flow and you look here, there is a place where we have sets. So where is that here? Enumeration, structures, classes, properties, methods, script, optional, strings and characters, collection types, here it is. And if you scroll down a little bit, there is arrays. We played with arrays a little bit, and then there are sets somewhere here. Here are sets, stores distinct values, that's why I need it. Okay, and you can give it a type. So basically I'm going to create sets of. So now what I will do is I will take the first one, right? I will create var set initial set, or for example set A, right? Maybe we call it list A and list B, list A and list B. Set A equals it's a set, the type is a string, it's going to host strings, and here we are. So that's a set, right? I'll do set A dot append or dot add dot put dot what, insert new member. So basically you're just inserting members. So basically I need to loop over the first array. There is no insert or for each item in list A. I'm going to do set A dot insert item. All right, so here it is. So that's set A. And the result one is going to be var. This is the result set. Okay, is also same story. And then we loop on the other list. So we'll do for each item in list B. And basically we check to see if set A contains the item. If set A contains item, right? Then what we're going to do is that result set dot insert item. That's it. So basically we took the whole list here. we embedded it into a set. We called it set A, right? And then we loop over the next list and we check to see if for each item does it contain. And of course this is efficient because the hash map, right? And then the result set, now we insert in it the item. And then basically all what we're going to do is return the result set. So basically I am going to return a set of string. So let me change the function definition to return a string like this. And then basically here I'm going to return the result sets. Okay, here it is. This is getting the overlap. Now we can do that. We can do let overlap equals get overlap list A and list B. Okay, and then we run this. It gives us the overlap, and these are the overlapping words: art, performance, college, thanks, and imagination. Perfect. So you can go and check, but basically all what we did is we went in, we added all the items from the first list in set A to enable because sets are very good at getting contains. It's very, very fast. It's log n in order to get contains, right? So it does it very quickly, right? And it makes life much easier to use that, right? And at the end of the day, we have set A, and then we do contains to find it, and then we have it in the result set, and we then return the value in the result set. All right, so this is an attempt on just showing you how to reason when developing in Swift. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.